Good morning and welcome to WDLive. My name is Divya Mathew and I'm the Senior Manager for Research at Women Deliver, reporting on a beautiful day in Vancouver. And this is our first wake up call, each morning's introduction to the day ahead. And today is a very exciting day for us. It's our first full day of programming at Women Deliver 2019, where we're focusing on power, progress, and change. We're starting by taking stock of progress and where we stand in terms of our commitments to gender equality, and then focusing on what lies ahead. What actions are needed to move the needle on gender equality, and how can we put a gender lens on policies, programs, and projects so that we can close the gender gap worldwide? On the main stage, we'll talk about a variety of opportunities ranging from increasing investments in women focused organizations to exploring the role of technology as a potential driver of equality. And we'll also be talking about challenges such as the impact of gender based violence on gender inequality and the lack of reliable and accurate data needed to fuel change. I'm delighted today to have Stephanie Psaki with me to kick off this discussion here on WD Live with our global audience. She's the Deputy Director of Population Council's Girls Center, which measures what works and what doesn't when it comes to improving girls' lives. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Divya. Good
Good
morning.
morning. So let's talk data. Today, there'll be many conversations and new research launching focusing on data and evidence. In addition to today's plenary session on data and accountability, the McKinsey Global Institute will release their new Future of Women at Work report, which provides new insights on the future impact of automation on women in the workforce. We'll also be hearing about Equal Measures 2030 SDG Gender Index, which launched yesterday and measures progress towards gender equality in 129 countries. Stephanie, in your career as a researcher and advocate, why is it so important that data have a gender lens?
Yeah, so as you know, Divya, we've made these global commitments to improve the lives of women and girls, to ensure that they're economically empowered, to ensure that they get a high quality education, to ensure that they have access to quality health services. And the way that we can achieve those goals is by tracking our progress, knowing what the challenges are that remain, and knowing what the opportunities are to really accelerate progress for women and girls. So the way that we do that as researchers is by collecting data. But when I say data, I don't mean just numbers.
Yes.
Although we collect a lot of numbers, I also mean stories and words from women and girls around the world. As you know, hearing the story of a woman or a girl and hearing about the challenges and opportunities that she's experienced in her life can be incredibly powerful and moving. And for those of us who have lived in different circumstances, it can give us insights into lives that are very different from ours. At the same time, we also think it's important to collect quantitative data or numbers to describe what's happening for women and girls around the world. And the reason for that is that sometimes when we hear stories from women, we're hearing from certain types of women. So the women who feel most comfortable sharing their stories, the women who are in a safe place and able to share their stories without fear of retribution. So we also want to make sure that we're counting and hearing from all the women and girls, those who are more vulnerable, those who are sometimes overlooked in the traditional sense. So the way that we make sure that the voice of every woman and girl is counted is by combining both this quantitative data, the numbers, with the words and stories of women.
Yeah, I think you raise a really important question because at Women Deliver, we really seek to hear the most marginalized voices be heard. I know you're presenting today at a session about family planning and its ability to spark economic growth. We wouldn't know the extent of this link without disaggregated data. How do you and your colleagues work to access and produce the data you need?
Yeah, so I work at Population Council, as you said, and I'm very lucky that I'm based in New York, but I have colleagues all over the world. So we have 14 country offices, and we work in 50 countries. So I'm not the one usually who's collecting the data, but I'm working with amazing colleagues in all of these countries who are living in those countries, who are from those countries, and who understand the challenges that people are facing in those countries. So they are having conversations with people on the ground, with ministers of health, ministers of education, and finance, but also with the people whose lives are directly affected by the research that we do. So teachers and students, community health workers, employers, parents. And so we hear from them what the questions are that need to be answered in order to drive progress. And then we use those questions to inform the data that we collect on the ground.
So it really takes a village to get the best data.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, I mean, one of the things, so there's, of course, the immediate challenge of collecting the data, but we also need to really make sure that we're building capacity
Yes.
to analyze the data and to use the data in these countries. So, there's the fancy statistical analyses that researchers do, but also maybe more importantly is what you do when you find the answers to those questions. How do you translate it and share it in a way that can actually inform decision making on the ground?
Great. And what more needs to be done to make sure that girls and women are being counted and their voices heard?
I think one of the challenges that remains around the world is really the political will, not just to make sure that we're investing in collecting high quality data on the questions that really matter and making sure that everyone is counted, but also to make sure that decisions are being made and investments based on the data and the evidence. So sometimes the data tell us something that's different from what we expected, and then we have to change direction. And I think there has to be an openness and a willingness to believe what the data tell us, believe what the evidence tell us, and make decisions so that we can really accelerate progress for women and girls.
That's a very important point. Thank you. As you can see, data plays such an important role in every facet of our life. What a great way to start the day. Today is the most exciting and active day of the conference with more than 150 sessions and events. I know I'm particularly looking forward to all the research that's coming out today, including the Lancet series on gender equality, norms, and health. What's on your agenda for the day?
Well, as you mentioned, I'll be speaking at a luncheon where we're talking about investing in family planning as a best bet. And one of the things that we'll be talking about is that it's not just about investing in family planning, it's also about really securing the other investments we're making in development. So investments in education and economic empowerment. These are so closely related when we're thinking about how to improve the lives of women and girls. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Great. So thank you, Stephanie. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to all of you our viewers for tuning in. Just a reminder that we'll be here every morning with a roundup of the day's programming and timely insights from our expert guests. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on WD2019.org. I do hope you have an enriching and inspiring day today, whether you'll be joining us in person or remotely. Thank you.